There have been a few conspiracy theories that have been popping up related to the solar eclipse that is going to occur on April 8th, 2024, including conspiracy theories about end times prophecies. Let's go through a few of these theories and then debunk the nonsensical claims about this specific eclipse.
7 years ago, we had an eclipse. That eclipse went over 7 cities named Salem. Now, exactly 7 years later, we have this other eclipse on April 8th going over 7 cities named Nineveh, not to mention the city of Rapture, Indiana.
So here's the first claim, that there are 7 cities named Nineveh that the eclipse will fall over. And additionally to these 7 cities is the city of Rapture in Indiana. Rapture, Indiana, though, is a small, unincorporated community that's barely even on the map. And the Ninevehs are also inconsequential, especially the 2 that fall within the totality of the eclipse. Here's the downtown area of Nineveh, Indiana, for example. And here's the middle of Nineveh, Ohio, which just looks like farmlands. Also, there aren't 7 Ninevehs. There are 7 in the US and 1 in Nova Scotia, Canada. In short, 6 of the 8 Ninevehs in North America will not fall within totality, just 2. Just like how the entire continental US will experience some form of eclipse, just not entirely in totality. Also for kicks, I looked up cities named Palestine because why not? Right now, Ohio and Illinois' cities of Palestine are right in the path of totality, and there's a war going on in Palestine right now. So isn't that spooky? What does that mean for Palestine in the Middle East? Of course we don't know what will happen, because it doesn't mean anything. There's tons of religious people in America who decide to name their little town after biblical cities or regions.
God says in the book of Luke that before he comes back, he will give us signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. We also have the moon, which is turning to rust. The Greek origin of that rust, hematite, means blood. He says the moon will turn to blood before the terrible day of the Lord.
This woman rants about how the moon, sun, and stars will be involved in the end times, which is vague and can literally mean anything. She then yaps about the moon turning rust or blood red, but the moon doesn't turn so red or brown during a solar eclipse, but rather during a lunar one. At the very least, the moon is not going to be so visible to the naked eye during a solar eclipse event, so you can count the biblical conspiracies out against this one.
Euphrates River drying up. We have wars and we have rumors of wars. Not to mention every other biblical prophecy that has already been fulfilled.
Actually, I thought the Euphrates River was drying up due to climate change, and it is, but I also heard that this dam has made it even worse. I'm not going to argue against this one. There's problems with climate change that are happening all over the world that scientists have been yelling about for literally centuries at this point. So I'll give them that one, I guess. As far as wars go, that has been happening since humans have existed. For the rest of the video, she kind of just yaps about the end times, vaguely, so I'll move on to the next one. Here in this video, the Jonah-Nineveh conspiracy theory connection is expanded upon. Jonah, of course, was a man in the Bible who was sent by God to preach to Nineveh in order to save them from destruction. Anyway, he didn't want to do that, so he ran away, and as a result, he ended up being swallowed by a big fish, which some biblical scholars theorize might have also been a whale. He ended up coming out of the fish after 3 days, and then focused on his mission to warn Nineveh about their sin, and told the citizens to repent, which they did, and Jonah therefore saved the day. But this is where the additional conspiracy theory comes into play. The Cetus constellation, which is shaped and named after a whale, is supposed to be lined up behind the sun and moon in the sky during the eclipse. But you see, ultimately there's a problem. Looking at the star map on the day of the eclipse, while being located in Nineveh, Indiana, and Nineveh, Ohio, Neither the sun or the moon pass through the cetus constellation. And why would they? That's not how this works. The sun is in Pisces right now if you pay attention to sidereal astrology. I also don't know why Christians are using astrology to connect this end times prophecy conspiracy theory, since astrology is considered sinful to most Christians. However, the constellations and positionings are real. The meaning and symbolism behind the constellations are totally subjective though. And then there's this claim about the new ecclesiastical year for Jewish traditions being somehow significant, but this has nothing to do with Christian end times prophecies. And from more research, it seems like this Jewish customs calendar is based off the ancient Babylonian lunar solar calendar, which has nothing to do with either of these Abrahamic religions.
Did you know that the approaching solar eclipse will usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ? So check this out. On April 8th, a very rare total solar eclipse will be passing through the U.S., which will plunge the country into darkness in the middle of the day. It mentally resembles an end-time event in the Bible, when all dead Christian believers will be resurrected and joined with Christians who are still alive. Together will rise up to heaven to reunite with Jesus. And before this could happen, these three prophecies need to be fulfilled. First, the Euphrates River needs to be dried up. Second, the Jews will begin building a third temple and sacrifice a red cow. Third, God says, the earth shakes, the sky trembles, and the stars no longer shine. The sun will be turned to darkness before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. There will be earthquake, natural disasters.
In this video, besides more talk about the Euphrates drying up, we also see talks about additional conspiracy theories about Judaistic customs. That has nothing to do with Christian end times prophecies, as these conspiracy theorists are putting forth. There's talks about plans to sacrifice a red heifer, or a certain type of cow, in order to prepare for the construction of a new temple where Al-Aqsa Mosque sits now. There's specific characteristics of this red heifer that must be fulfilled in order for it to count, though. But again, these Jewish customs have nothing to do with Christian end times prophecies, as neither a temple must be rebuilt or a red heifer sacrificed in order for Jesus to return in Christian eschatology. Also, the eclipse occurs in North America mostly, and not in Jerusalem where the cow is supposed to be sacrificed, as well as where the new temple is supposed to be built. To conclude, we know eclipses have been plotted and predicted since ancient times. Humans are the ones who give meaning to both naming of cities and to the naming of the constellations. At best, most of these conspiracy theories are nothing more than vague coincidences. In the future, I hope more people will learn to stop falling for these misinformation peddlers. It's just getting so annoying, turning on TikTok or YouTube, and seeing this stuff getting so many views and so many likes. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Thanks.